As of October 22nd, 2025, the United States government is officially $38 trillion in debt. 66% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. The government is shut down. All of this is happening at the same time when JP Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, was quoted saying, "When you find one cockroach, there's probably more." This is in regards to local regional credit unions failing. Here at Be Gentle, Be Ruthless, we believe that prepping is extremely important. However, prepping doesn't mean anything without a good plan. So, here today for our first prepping episode, we're going to talk about economics and resources. I know the popular thing to do on YouTube right now is to talk about STHF or hitting the fan and a total societal collapse. However, that's not the most important thing. Most of the time, what you're actually prepping for is things like a natural disaster or even a government shutdown that is still ongoing, leaving hundreds of thousands of Americans without paychecks. 25% of our military force is living paycheck to paycheck. It's safe to say even missing one paycheck for most Americans is the difference between getting by and survival.
Yeah, I would just say in the event of prepping, unfortunately, when you think you should start prepping, it's almost too late at that point. And I mean, if you imagine a consensus where everybody says, oh, we all need to prep at the same time, we all need to stockpile this, stockpile that. I mean, prime example was COVID and toilet paper.
I'm glad I was just about to bring that up.
It was just like you could not get toilet paper anywhere for whatever reason. Toilet paper was the food, the water, that was the meat and vegetables that people sought out. It was very odd.
Hey, you gotta clean up down there.
I mean, I guess, but not. I guess. Yes, you do. However, comma.
I guess if you need to.
You need to, but I'm just saying, like, out of all the things, you think if I can't find food, you think I'm gonna be worried about toilet paper, you know? So I guess my first point is gonna be practicality. Um, what are the practical day-to-day things that you know you need that will get you by? So a couple basics that come to mind, right? Just having a basic to somewhat advanced first aid kit. If you are an individual who relies heavily on prescription medication, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you. So you have to consider what would happen if this medication became unavailable to you. How would your quality of life be affected? If you don't require a specific medication to go about your day to day, what are some medications that you may need in the event that you're unable to just go out and get it? A basic first aid kit would get that covered.
And it's not even just prescription medicine, it's any kind of medicine, antiseptic medicine,
Yep.
painkillers like Tylenol. I know it gives everybody autism. Like, I know, but having a simple painkiller could be very helpful. Something like an antihistamine or an allergy med could be extremely important for you. I get pretty bad
100%.
seasonal allergies. So if something were to happen, let's say I was in the Midwest during the summer and a tornado tore through my town, and now I'm, you know, I'm stuck in my basement. Having something like an allergy med can make that time that much more bearable for you glasses wearers out there. An extra pair of glasses is critical. If in the event something happens and your glasses break, are you just going to roam around blind? Or do you want to spend the extra? I mean, I don't know how much glasses cost nowadays. $100 for a cheap pair of glasses, maybe 50 if they're super cheap.
Mhm.
Spend that little extra money so you have that extra pair.
Secondly, it's going to be a water source. Tap water, depending on how tight you have your tin hat, tap water is either the devil or, you drink it every day and you feel perfectly fine. For years, I drank tap water and I just didn't care. And then I did some research and I was like, oh, this is probably not a good idea. So having some way to filter water, and by filter water, you could do filtering natural water from water sources that you can find and some that are readily available. So they have filter straws that you can use. They have filter bags, and you can make your own filter as well for relatively cheap too. And then as a last resort, you probably could just drink the tap water if there's no water source near you, if you're in a super city or urban area. As far as food goes, to be honest with you, you don't need as much food as you think. I don't know what you're thinking. Well, we got to eat. You got to get energy. That's true. But in various trainings that I've done, what I've realized is the calories you consume are probably going to matter than what you eat. So, an example, a few handfuls of almonds pack way more calories and fats than you would probably think. And if you're really hungry, you'll be surprised at how much that satiates you. While almonds themselves are far more expensive than they should be, they could be a way to prolong the effects of starvation. And it's just an example. You could take it as far as making your own snack bars, making your own broths, the food that you throw away. A lot of the things that we discard, they can have a secondary use that you can use. And those can be things you stockpile. So if you have a leftover rotisserie chicken, you can get the bones, boil them, make a broth. That broth that you make in water can be frozen. That can be eaten later. That's a good source of protein, a good source of minerals and collagen to curb the hunger that could come on. But it's just an example. It's not an end all be all. So we talked about calories in versus calories out. While that is important, other means and methods you could do too. Stockpiling on your simple things like protein. So frozen beef can last for months before it expires. So just buying a little bit extra during your normal grocery trip to save in a stockpile while you need it. If the power goes out, how do you think you could cook all these things? Well, fire is a pretty easy way to get that done. So maybe having a reserve of chopped wood at the ready, matches, fire starters, things of that nature to help you get by, which could also purify your water, cook your food, etc. And these are the basics, but I'm pretty sure there are far more in-depth examples that you could use too.
Even something as simple as a little camper cooker. You know what I'm talking about? A little
I think
screw
so, yeah.
on. There's this tiny little setup. You screw on some propane, and you take it out
Hmm.
camping with you. Is for me, I'm in a relatively small apartment. I can't just, even if things were to go horribly wrong, I can't just start a fire here or even on my balcony without risk of burning everything down. But
Correct.
I can get out a little camper cooker and cook something out on my balcony if need be. I think something when it comes to food that's also super overlooked is your enjoyment of the food. Now,
Hmm.
it's not the most important thing by any means, but if you're already in a miserable situation, do you want to make it more miserable by having garbage food that tastes disgusting,
Yeah.
or do you want to be, have a little bit of enjoyment and have something that you actually enjoy eating? I think
Yeah.
people tend to overlook that, and people are just kind of like getting this mindset of like protein powder and oats and some butter, and that's dope. And if you need to do that, then by all means, like that's what you have to do. But if you don't need to do that, meaning you can afford a little bit more of a luxury item, I say that with quotes, to, store away, then by all means, get something that you enjoy a little bit more.
Something else that could be super overlooked too. Salt. So
Yeah.
it's a basic electrolyte. It's going to enhance any food that you eat, especially if you like freeze dry food and you're in the business of rehydrating things. Just adding a small pinch of salt is going to help it be more enjoyable, but give it that little bit of spike in electrolytes to keep you going in the event that your energy expenditure is high. Having spices. I mean, you can vacuum seal those, have it good to go. I think vacuum sealing and dehydrating food might be probably one of the most best ways to have food at the ready long term for emergency use. Clothing. This is probably toward the bottom of the list of priorities. Everybody generally has a good amount of clothing that they can choose from at the ready. If you already have clothes in your closet, I don't imagine the need for you to go out and get more clothes are going to be a huge priority or something that you need to rush to go do. What I do recommend is think about the types of clothing that you could wear continuously. So a good pair of durable pants, thermal socks, a good pair of boots, a shirt that could be used as a sun protectant and lightweight. If you have to move in a hurry, it could be beneficial for you to layer on clothes instead of packing it and carrying a bag. Just things to consider. To the addition of safety gear, things like knee pads, gloves, bandages, um, adhesive wraps, things like that.
But
All of
even
that.
reflective wear.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when I was not an adult when this happened, but during Hurricane Katrina, I vaguely remember hearing about a lot of people getting lost in the visual noise of everything and rescuers not being able to locate them. A reflective vest is like $5 at your local Home Depot or whatever. Grab
Hmm.
one. If something happens and you're in a hurricane and you're sitting up on your roof waiting for helicopters to come get you, or you're in a tornado and they're digging through rubble, something like a reflective vest can make you be seen that much more.
Yeah, you could
And
take a step further, get whistles or some type of SOS lighting
yep.
that flashes on a sequence. Pretty sure that stuff can be bought pretty cheap.
Oh yeah. Something else with clothing that I think is super overlooked, specifically when it comes to natural disasters,
Hmm.
is keeping your vehicle not stocked up with clothing, but having something, a jacket or a blanket in your vehicle. I mean, you and I, when we worked together, we were working in the Great North, where it would regularly get 20 below, and with
Hmm.
snowstorms. Imagine coming home from work one day and you get stuck out in the snow and it's cold out, and now you're freezing to death in your car. Pack a jacket, just keep it in your trunk or a blanket or something. So if you are doing something like that and you get stuck outside, you won't completely freeze.
Correct. Having something near you and a place that you're already going to be in the event that you have to be mobile, it's going to be very beneficial for you. So I agree. Second thing to go with that, you brought up cars. If roads are blocked off, you are probably not going to be driving much of anywhere. In the event that you can get out by car, having just a reserve of gas is good. It's not something that you have to keep stockpiled per se, but I don't know if gas expires, does it?
You should rotate the gas in whatever gas can every couple months.
But with that, I mean, it's something that can last a while.
Yeah,
So
it's very easy just to every 3 months take the gas that's in your gas can, put it in your vehicle, and then refill your alongside with your vehicle, refill your gas can.
just various things to consider. Things that you could use for protective measures, right? When all the bullets are gone and all the guns are empty, I think ultimately we're going to revert back to bows, arrows, spears, axes, things of that nature. And most of this stuff is pretty cheap. These are things that you can get now. So having those tools could be useful to have on hand, especially if you have to navigate in terrain and you have to go on foot, or in the event that you're in a place that you can't buy a stockpile of ammunition or weapons or whatever. Those alternatives could be a good way to go forward too. All of those encompassed together could be a way that you can prep now while you don't need to. That way, in the event that if you need to do it, you'll already be ready.
Yeah, I mean there's so many basic things that when you start to think about it, it makes a lot of sense and it seems obvious, but it's a lot of stuff people look over. I mean, go on YouTube right now and search up prepping. What are you gonna find? You're gonna find tactical gear and night vision and guns, and you'll see something about food and water as well, and all that stuff is dope, and all of that stuff is valid in certain cases, but the reality is most people when they go into crisis, it's not going to be total societal collapse and they're fighting their way through cities and all the stuff you see on TV. Most crises that people are going to be in is not being able to afford food because they're missing a paycheck or natural disaster. That's the
Yep.
reality of it. That's kind of the truest, most unsexy reality of our world. Zombie apocalypses are fun to think about, but let's be real, we're not living in The Walking Dead.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think the most important resource of all is community. In today's world, people are so disconnected, which is kind of an odd thing to say given that we all have social media and at the drop of a hat you can contact your friends and family. I mean, for example, Dee and I live like hundreds of miles apart from each other, but yeah, we're still
Mhm.
communicating and putting out this video for y'all. So it's kind of an oxymoron to say that we're disconnected, but it's really true. For most of you out there, how many of you know your neighbors? And I don't mean just their name, but how many of you know your neighbors? What do your neighbors do for work? What's their personality like? I tell you, me personally, I live in an apartment with probably 100 people living here, and I don't know any of my neighbors' names.
Yeah, that's I think that's the case for a lot of folks.
I would even gander to say that the overwhelming majority of folks are probably like that. I think the only time you find community is rural towns nowadays. My mom, for example, I know she's watching this, so hi, mom.
Hmm.
She's the only person in my life that I know who like really knows their neighbors. In the event something happens, your neighbors could potentially be the difference between you starving to death or having a decent meal. And it's not just your neighbors, but it's any community that you're a part of, right? Church is a big one. Obviously, this is a Christian centric channel. So we all encourage you to go to church. Unless your church is in partnership with Show Faith by Works LLC, in which. But that's a great place to build community. And I would even say that nowhere else in the country are you going to find a community that's more willing to help you than the church.
I agree, man. If it all hits the fans, bro, I'm gonna go to the Amish people. Be like, hey, what y'all building today? I'll help. I'll contribute.
Yeah. I mean, I encourage if you have those communities around you, I encourage you to do that anyway. I don't have any Amish communities around me, but I've met a few Amish people. They're the most lovely people you will ever meet. They're the most knowledgeable people you'll ever meet. On actual skills when it comes to building. Um, so yeah, I mean, talk to your local Amish folks. They're wonderful people.
If they're friendly.
What do you
If
mean?
they're friendly. I don't know if it's just probably the rumor mill, right? But, I've heard that sometimes they're not welcoming to outsiders.
Yeah, some of them aren't. That's a fair bet.
So read the room.
It yeah,
Don't put yourself in danger.
right, right.
Go where you're welcomed. Go where you know you can get help. Don't go anywhere where you could be perceived as a threat. Not saying the Omnish will do that, but just general guidance.
And if you're one of the few lucky folks that you don't have to worry about any of this stuff, um, to the best of your ability, help out your community. I'm not saying you have to give all your food away and all your money away. Not what I'm saying at all. But
Mhm.
community only works when people are pitching in.
Correct. Ultimately, you have to be aware. You have to pay attention. So, like I said earlier in the video, if you think, oh, now I have to prep, you're not the only one thinking that way. And it may be too late. And this isn't fear mongering or anything like that, but the time to prep would be now. Prepping is a marathon, it is something that takes time. And it's not wise to try and get everything overnight, like many people will try and do. Your best resource will be community. And the stronger your community, the stronger your ties are, the better off you'll be. Make sure that community has the same ideals that you have, the same beliefs, and that you all are working toward the same goals. Otherwise, it will literally be survival of the fittest.
And a little sneak peek into next week, but I think we're going to see that very, very soon. If you're not aware of what's going on with the government shutdown come November 1st, as of right now, EBT cards and welfare will not be re-upped. I have a sneaking suspicion that when that happens and people are in survival mode and they're trying to get their needs met, we're going to see a lot of looting and a lot of rioting,
Mhm.
to the point I've even seen a few things on Instagram and TikTok already of people calling for that.
I've seen videos where people are openly saying that's what they're going to do. So, I think in the event that that happens, we can expect to see plenty of government intervention, law enforcement altercations. It will just not be pretty if it results to that.
Yeah, if it comes to that, your time to prep is now into next week, and that's really it. I mean, November 1st is, by the time we put out this video, November 1st will be a week away. Now's the
Yeah,
time to do it. And if this government shutdown goes into December or potentially January, which there are rumors of that, you don't have much time to make sure that you're stocked up on food.
absolutely agreed.
But more to come on the potential economic collapse next week. I think that's going to wrap up the video. In conclusion, prepping is not always going to be sexy. Prepping is not always going to be the fun, cool, tactical stuff. Most of the time, prepping is going to come down to the basics, making sure you have a couple days at least worth of food and water, and that's really that. You have any final thoughts?
Again, to reiterate, this is not fear mongering. We are not trying to spread the spirit of fear. God gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. But prayer and faith without works is dead. So you have to do your part.
Well, that's gonna wrap up the episode. We will see y'all on Sunday. Stay blessed and have a fantastic weekend.
The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.